Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, so as you know, my phone had died. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish this off. So as you see right here, it says, now this part is, we dealt with that part, right? So clearly in the Quran, we don't believe of a dying, Yeshua, a Jesus who died on the cross. That was a sacrifice. There was a sacrifice and then resurrected. Okay. So there is no way in shape and form, whether you want to put it on a symbolical level or you would want to put it on a literal level, that the concept of Isa or Yahushua that we have is in any way, shape or form connected to the concept of serapis, because serapis is a concept, never knowing the name Yahushua itself. It's about what concept you're going by. Okay. So you don't find that in the Quran. So you cannot justly say that it is inside the Quran at all. That's just straight lie. I understand people don't, believe this or believe that, but you still got to be honest. You still got to be honest in your so-called scholarship. You still have to be honest in your approach of things. Okay. And maybe the reason why some of you don't know that Asar is with that concept is because you don't understand that serapis is native to the Egyptian concept. Okay. And they sat there and hoodwinked you, They gave you the whoop-de-wop by trying to put the serapis name on the Greek statue. And then these brothers who supposed to be Kemetic or Pan-Africans came out under that type of understanding and sat there and pushed that. And they should know better than that. That's being sacrilegious to their own, supposed cause, of being, pan-Kemetic, I guess, if you want to call it that, but clearly here, for anybody who's honest, whether you believe the Quran Quran is a book, or you believe in, quote unquote, what you want to call religion, or you believe that this is false, or you believe it don't matter, or you so-called know that this book is not, revealed by no God, or whatever you want to call it, you have to at least be honest though, to say what you see right here, the Isa concept right here in the Quran. When you say in the Quran, that means in the Quran. Okay. It don't mean here or there, up in this, up on the moon, down beneath the sea. It mean right here in the Quran. If you say Isa in the Quran, okay, is serapis, then you have to prove that this Isa right here. You know what I'm saying? So, it says, and further saying, I'll go back there again. It even refutes those who even say that type of concept. That's the crazy thing about it. Look at it. And further saying, what is it saying? Indeed, we killed the Messiah, Isa, the son of Mary. He don't even say the son of God. You see that? The messenger of Allah. And they killed him not, and they did not crucify him. So that means no sacrifice, but it was made to appear. And indeed, then it says anybody that says that are in doubt. Those who differ in it are surely in doubt about it. Not for them. They have no knowledge. They only follow an assumption, guesswork, and they killed him not, certainly. So you can't turn around and say, well, Isa in the Quran, Jesus in the Quran is serapis. When I sat there in part one, it wasn't supposed to be a part one, but my phone had died. In part one, I sat there and showed you the story, the true story of serapis, which is that of dying, sacrifice, and then resurrecting into a new, just resurrection. Okay. I'm going to put it like that. I'm going to keep it simple. All right. You don't find that quality of character right here. Okay. It says that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was a messenger of Allah. Okay. So, what's an even more crazier claim is the claim that Muhammad is serapis. That's even more of a crazy claim. Okay. So I shouldn't have to do this, but I'm going to do this. And it just shows by me having to do this that you're not a master researcher that you proclaim that you are, or you're just a blatant liar. I think it's the, I would have to go for now. I usually think maybe mistaken, but I would have to say blatant liar. You know, a blatant liar. Because I know if you a master researcher, you must have saw it. Okay. Here you go. Okay. So Prophet Muhammad, is he serapis? Is there a dying resurrection? Is there a dying resurrection, Muhammad? Do you see that anywhere? Quote. No, I don't need no translation. Muhammad is not the father of any of your men, but he is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets, and Allah has full knowledge of all things. Where you see in that, Sara, Seti, or Young Pharaoh, or Walter Williams, where you see that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is serapis. That's a claim, because I'm going to start calling y'all out on your claims. You run around here making claims and then try to skip past it. Talking about we just going to skip past this. No, we're not going to. You study like Young Pharaoh. And I'm going to get to my next video, I believe. He said that Adam in the Quran put the black stone in the Kaaba. I want you to show me that in the Quran, because he said it's in the Quran. See, scholarship, they claim in scholarship. They say that they scholars. They say that they master researchers. Research your way in that Quran then, and show me where Adam alayhi salatu wasalam put the black stone in the Kaaba. And in the Quran Quran says that Adam built the Kaaba in the Quran. I'm gonna tell you right now, the Quran only says Abraham built the Kaaba. Okay, and so if you here's what advice I would like to give. If a person does not want to be involved in theological discussions that they do not really believe in, they shouldn't make theological statements that would get you into theological discussions. Now that's logical. I would think that that's pretty logical. I don't believe in theology. I don't believe that there's a God. I'm saying this is what they say. They don't believe there's a God in these books that the books talk about. They believe it's all false. Then they should not make theological claims. And if you're claiming that you're going to save your people, supposedly from these false religions, supposedly, right, by the white man, but then everything I see you quote, like Serapis being made by the Greeks, that's by the white man. Like Serapis being Jesus, that was by the white man. Okay? Then you make statements, you have to back up that statement then. Okay? So you merely making a statement. I like the last video again. The Catholic Church created Islam. So I completely deconstructed that. Okay. Now you said, he said Muhammad is Serapis. Jesus in the Quran is Serapis. How did Jesus in there if he's not Serapis? But now you got to go in there and show me he's Serapis. Because the problem is this. The fallacy that occurred was that European Christian missionaries, okay, European Christian missionaries came up with the idea that the Old Testament and New Testament is in the Quran because the Old Testament and New Testament, the Quran plagiarized the Old Testament, New Testament. But what many fail to realize is this, what the Quran's purpose was. The Quran's purpose is to purify concepts that came and that became deviant away from its original teaching. And so the Quran means qura'ah, to recite. And to recite means that the Prophet ﷺ is standing there and he's talking to different groups. He's talking to Bani Israel. He's talking to Jews, convert Jews. He's talking to Christians. He's talking to Catholics. He's talking to people involved in pagan, or which, if you want to call it pagan religions, or ancient philosophies and theologies. And he is showing the logic that there is only one God alone, and how every one of them went against the concept of there's only one God alone. That's what the Quran's about. So if I'm speaking to a Christian community, if I'm speaking to a Jewish community or a Judaic community or Bani Israel, or I'm speaking to a Kemetic community, or I'm speaking to whatever community, a Cushite community, because the people in the Quran mentioned are also the people of Ad and the people of Thamud, Luqman. These different people were Cushites. So those stories are also narrated in the Quran too. And then the argument towards the concept of one God alone is put in there. That's the whole purpose of the Quran. Okay. So it's called a Qur'an, a recital, for a reason. So the prophet is talking to these different groups of people, and by inspiration, things are revealed to him so that he makes his points against each group. Okay? Against each group, about how they deviated from the original teachings and how they anthropomorphize things. That's the whole purpose. You see, each one of those communities anthropomorphize things. That means to put things in human form. That means to put things in animal form. So the Prophet ﷺ said, no, these concepts are originally non-anthropomorphic. And people went astray and people went deviant. So the Quran came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he got that revelation to tell them that. And certain stories that were known of in each one of these communities was inspired in him so that he would show them the correctness in a certain way that he was speaking about it, and the errancy, you know what I'm saying, the error in the way that they were speaking about it, and show that the way that Muhammad SAW came to reveal to them was the true understanding, because it is based upon the oneness of the Creator. That's the purpose of the Quran. So like today, on similar, almost similar, not exactly, but similar, if I go to talk to some Christians, I might here and there utilize a story about Isa or Jesus, especially if I could show my point in there. Now, if somebody writes that down and somebody makes that into a book, am I plagiarizing the Bible because I quoted some of the stories to prove my point, and somebody wrote it down and it became a book and people read it? No, I didn't plagiarize it. And so people don't understand really what the purpose of the Quran is, because Christian evangelist missionaries, especially in the West, always have been pushing that. And so what happened was, many of these Pan-African, not all, but many Pan-African, like Walter Williams, even a little bit, Yosef Ben Yochanan was subject to that. Many activists, they repeat those statements. Those same statements. And so if a person was so much of a master researcher as Seti claims, as young Pharaoh claims, as Walter Williams claims, okay, they should have by now came up on the concept without nobody telling you that, okay, well, hold on. The Quran is a recital. It's a book that's through. Okay. And what the heck is a recite? Okay. They're telling different stories from all different type of things, but always going back to the same point that there's only one God. And they're talking to these different communities. Okay. So what's the purpose then? Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. So, okay, we get it. Now, and you'll see the Quran always talking against anthropomorphism. So they should have put two and two together. It's not that hard, but because they were indoctrinated by a Western approach to the Quran, they fell for the okie doke. So, right here again, because I want to know whatever. Show me. Okay, Muhammad is not the father of your men, but he is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets, and Allah has full knowledge of all things. Now let me tell you something why this ayah is verse. Well, number one, clearly Muhammad is not serapis. So I don't have to proven all the different things that I need to prove in a short span time I could have went longer, but no need to, unless a person come back with something else, and then I will be back, inshallah, on that subject. But I have other subjects to move on to with them, and I will. Each point, or the majority points, like major points that young Pharaoh has made, sara, seti made, Walter Williams made, I will be there to refute, inshallah. I will be there to refute. I will be there to refute. Okay, so now this verse, it's good that this came out right here, because I'm going to tell you something about this verse. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'm going to tell you the context of this. And actually, you can attach this part to my last deconstruction of what young Pharaoh was speaking on. You know, because I actually meant to put this in my last one. Okay, and I had the one in Arabic too, so I could break it down. But that's all right. Now, anybody who knows, I hate when this phone dies. This verse right here. Usually, as Muslims, when we read it, we just, Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. Okay. Now we know that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had grandsons, grandchildren. Okay. The thing about it is this. A lot of us don't understand what this, we understand on one level because ayah is on different levels. Another level of this is the saying is, if you know what the word, because this goes to young Pharaoh's thing that Islam was created by the Roman Catholic Church. Okay. Well, in actuality, this verse is special because what this is telling you is, let me read it to you in context. Understand this. Actually, the title father right here. You see that word father? That's a title right there. See, you got to remember something. Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. What they're saying is Muhammad is not the Pope of any of your men, but he is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets, and Allah has full knowledge of all things. Why do I say Pope? Because Pope goes back to the word pappy. Pappy means father. See, when Islam came, you gotta remember who Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was dealing with. Okay, he was dealing with all different types whom he had to speak to. So some people definitely want to know, okay, what is your status? Are you proclaiming yourself to be a new pope? So here you have it. Muhammad is not the Pope, father of any of your men, but he is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets, and Allah has full knowledge of all things. So I was going to get at to young Pharaoh just to let him know, you shouldn't be talking on things that you truly do not know about. And see, here's the thing. I'm going to let y'all in on something. You see, you notice how long they took. You notice how long they took really from tackling the Islam issue. They harped on Christianity pretty, for a while. They hit the Hebrew Israelites up, but it seemed like, and I know people sensed it, man, they stalling on Muslims. Why they stalling on Muslims? They stalling because they're not really familiar with it. Okay, they're not really familiar. Now, they're going to study now something and come out with something to show, I'm familiar with it. See, this. Okay, but they're not truly familiar with it. They're familiar with Christian evangelists' teachings about it. And they're familiar with more like NOI teachings about it and 5% teachings about it. But as far as what they call Orthodox Islam, which in truth, in Islamic traditions, we don't have no such thing as an Orthodox Islam. We don't use the word Orthodox Islam. Okay. That's some word that, somebody just made up, the same people that made up that serapis is that Greek never existed before, and only that Greek statue was serapis, and the Greeks went there and established it. The same people that did that. Okay, so we have to understand this clearly, that in no way, shape, and form, they were really familiar with it. Like Sarsu said, he keeps bringing out his uncle. Now, I think it was his uncle or somebody that died in his family. He keeps saying he was a Muslim. That don't mean you know anything. You made statements. I'm going to collect them all together. You done made statements of a basic, just error, complete error, basic Islam. A young Pharaoh made the statement, Adam in the Quran, it said that Adam in the Quran put the black stone in the Kaaba. It don't say nowhere in the Quran that. And that was an opinion. That's an opinion that you're quoting. In the Quran, it says Abraham built the Kaaba. Okay. That Kaaba been destroyed so many times. I mean, Muslims have had that Kaaba been destroyed so many times. And you think that would stop us? I tell you though. But, let's see. Now, I didn't want to use a biblical verse, but some people say, well, I guess in case they'll say, well, that concept, Jesus being a prophet, is nowhere in before. That's just something that y'all just made up. So you understand something. There was an Essene community, Essene, that said that Jesus was a Messiah, or that he was just a prophet. There are verses inside the Bible that bring forth some type of a concept. Not that, with it or without it, we still believe it. Without this verse in the Bible or not, we still believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the seal of prophets, and that Isa is one of the prophets. Okay. But right here, just in case if you want to know where it's at, right there. Now that Jesus speak to speak concerning the events and conditions of her life, sir, the woman said, I can see that you are a prophet. This woman embraced the idea that Jesus' power to see was due to the fact that he was a prophet. Okay. So Jesus told her things that she could not know. Now, in another verse, and I don't got it right here, I didn't go get it because it wasn't about me going through the Bible and trying to prove my points with the Bible. Okay. This was just focused at Walter Williams, Sara, seti, and young Pharaoh if he believes like that too. Okay, that serapis, Muhammad is serapis in the Quran, and that, all that there. So, there's verses inside the Bible where Jesus said a prophet is not accepted in his own home, and he was referring to himself. So, I mean, in the Essene community, you had in the past, you had the Sadducees, you had the Pharisees, and you had the Essene community. Those are three Israelite communities. Okay. Well, the Pharisees wasn't really Israelite. Pharisees were actually Persians. They came from Fars, and they came there inside Jerusalem in the time of Nehemiah, the rebuilding of the temple. So they wasn't even real Israelites in the first place. The Pharisees were from Faris of Persia. They were converts. But in any case, that's not neither here nor there. The point is that the Essene community upheld that Yeshua was a prophet. So, I mean, it's nothing new. There was in early days, many different views of Yeshua being a prophet. Some people started saying, other people started saying, no, he died and resurrected, and he's God and he's the son of God. And some people said he's God. There was different views. So my point is saying this. Islam, when it came, or I won't say Islam, but the Quran, when it came to purify concepts that had went astray, and to bring them back to their basis and roots before any form of anthropomorphization set in. And that includes anything that happened in Kush, Arabia, anything that happened in Jerusalem, anything that happened anywhere. Okay, as far as those surrounding areas. Anything that happened in any of the traditional monotheistic communities and societies, he was there to correct those concepts. That's the purpose of the Quran. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this. And I'm going to say, inshallah, things made sense. If it doesn't, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding that it will make sense even more as time goes on. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Black Power. Have a good night.